Sleepers Media Top 100 Player Countdown continues. J-Man, we are coming up on the home stretch here. Today we'll be looking at players 20 through 11. I'm going to go ahead and let you get into the list.
Yeah, we'll start off with number 20, John Blackwell from Wisconsin. Number 19, Christian Anderson at Texas Tech. Number 18, Graham Ike at Gonzaga. 17, Richie Saunders at BYU. We have 16, the talented Mikael Brown Jr. at Louisville. And number 15, we have Darion Williams at NC State. Number 14, we have Bennett Sturts from Iowa. Number 13, it is Milos Uzan at Houston. And number 12, we have Jacoby Gillespie at Tennessee. And number 11, we have LeBaron Philon at Alabama.
J-Man, you second guessed yourself. It is Milos Uzan.
We talked about it off air. I had a friend that played an app, and it was the other way around. And yeah, my brain played tricks on me, but almost 9 out of 10.
I was a huge Milos fan last year, and I mean, I had him ranked pretty highly in our countdown, but he was one of those guys who I thought pretty quickly at Houston. I guess we can go ahead and talk about him. I don't know if he fits any of your categories, but I thought pretty quickly at Houston he proved he'd be a good fit, and I even thought his playmaking looked just far ahead of where it was at Oklahoma. It seemed like Kelvin Sampson unlocked a new level for him. And I know he was on NBA radars after his freshman year at Oklahoma. That sort of tapered off some. And I mean, I guess he almost stuck in the draft this year and probably could have gotten drafted. But yeah, even as someone who was such a fan of his game, I still struggle with Uzan or Uzan. I've had Houston fans correct me before. I'm 99% sure it's Uzan. Let us know in the comments if we messed that up. But yeah, a lot of fun players in this one. Again, I said this for the last couple categories. We've seen guys who are going to push for all conference teams. Now we're getting more into guys who could make all American teams. I truly wouldn't be surprised if any of these guys were first, second, or third team all American. So some fun players to choose from, and honestly, some difficult choices to be made as we get into our categories. But I'll go ahead and start with you, J-Man, and let me know which of these guys do you think is most likely to outperform his ranking.
I'm gonna start with the guy I started with, or led off with, John Blackwell at Wisconsin. I like him a lot. 16, 5, and 2 in 31 minutes last year, 45, 32, 82 splits. I think three-point shots gonna be better this year. And then in the two March Madness games, he showed up 25 and 3 average in both those games. And then against Iowa, he went off last year at 32, 8, and 5 on 11 of 18 and 6 of 11 from three. And then, oh, by the way, to start off this year, though it's an exhibition, had 20 points against Oklahoma. I really like his patience. When
Mm.
he gets in the paint, he's always off 2 feet. He loves this little post fadeaway, which is a good shot for him because he's not gonna elevate and dunk on somebody. I think he had 3 dunks last season, but he's so crafty when he gets in the paint to have that little post fadeaway that is a phenomenal shot. And 132 shots off the dribble last year, and they were 44% efficient field goal percentage, which qualified as good. And I think that percentage will also get better this upcoming season. But I really like John Blackwell, Wisconsin's being the number one guy.
Yeah, I would echo a lot of the same points you made. Just looking through his game log in seven of his final 11 games, or excuse me, final 10 games, I'm shorted him one. He had 18 or more points. Like, and he was doing that with John Tanji sort of getting his while that was going on. And maybe you look at it in some sense where it's like, okay, Tanji was the All-American last season. He took some attention off Blackwell, but I just think this has become a guard slash wing friendly system that this second life that Greg Gard has found at Wisconsin. And anytime you watch them last year, like I had this realization probably in January, it's like Wisconsin's really fun. Wisconsin, whether it's, I don't know if it's just their history of having gritty white dudes or it's like the boring white and red uniforms. And like even the Frank Kaminsky, Sam Decker years, they played really slow. And that just makes you think like, I don't really want to tune into Wisconsin, especially if you're not a Big Ten guy. But the pace they play with the ball movement, the shooting, like up and down the court, it's just a lot faster pace, a lot better tempo, and Guard really lets his guards take whatever shot they want. And well, I shouldn't say, I guess he helps them understand what a good shot is, but he still gives them a lot of freedom, and they have lit it up from three in the past 2 years. And I just kind of expect Blackwell to step into that Tanji role as the go-to guy and sort of run away with it. For me, my answer, I'm actually going to go at the opposite end of this list at number 11 with LeBaron Philon. To me, I think there's a very, very good chance he's a top 5 player in the sport. I think there's a world where he's the best guard in the country. As much as I love Braden Smith, as much as we collectively at Sleepers love Braden Smith, there's a chance that I think Phylon can ascend to that next level. He is the guy, the guy, the guy, the guy, the best shot creator, the only dude who I'm like, I want him initiating on probably 80, 90% of the possessions. And I know the numbers don't even always back it up last year. I think he averaged just over 10 points per game. But if you go back and watch his tape, there's a reason why he was on NBA radars. He's got such good burst in the paint, and he's so shifty, has great body control, smart decision maker that I only expect to get better in year two running point. And of course, he's got that long wingspan to where even if he's not like the greatest point of attack defender, just some of the physical tools can compensate for I would say a lack of. He lacks a little bulk. He got pushed around a little bit last year, and that's where I'm looking to see, can he become a more efficient finisher at the rim? Can he hold up a little bit better defensively? But just having that plus wingspan gives him a little leeway with maybe some of those physical shortcomings.
Yeah, I love Phylon. I mean, when you have a guard in NATO system, he's going to make another leap a year or two into it. And look, he loves to work off of the middle ball screen action. We saw in the exhibition against Florida State, had 28 on 8 of 12. And if it's a switch, he's athletic enough and quick enough. He's going to the cup against the slower big man. If there's a little hesitation or over aggressive on ball defender, he loves to hit him with a little tween step back and shoot that three. And that's a great shot in Nate's system. There's a lot
Mm-hmm.
of coaches that would not like that shot, but Nate's wants to let it fly, and Phylon has that confidence in it. And we saw it against Florida State, and we saw flashes last year in the Elite Eight against Duke. He had 16, 5, and 3. And so I like that pick a lot because I do think if Alabama is going to continue to be the Alabama we've known the last few years,
Mm-hmm.
he's the number one guy for them. And he's, with that being the number one guy, he's going to be a top 10 player in college basketball.
For sure, for sure. Now, looking at this list of players, a lot of them have very lofty expectations. I mean, you even think of someone like Darion Williams, preseason player of the year in the same conference as Cam Boozer. You know, that might age a little bit poorly, but yeah, a lot of high expectations here. But is there any of these guys who you think will underperform their ranking?
You just said his name. I have Darion Williams because the pressure of being preseason ACC player of the year, that has statistically
Mhm.
always been inaccurate. The last 16 out of 17 years, the preseason ACC player of the year was not the actual ACC player of the year. So therefore, that kind of most likely to underperform with those expectations. And also, by the way, I do like Darion Williams, but to my point, there is no JT Toppin to bail him out on a bad shot night. And that
Right.
was something that he filled up the stat sheet for Texas Tech last season, but he had inefficient score. Two of his four NCAA tournament games, he was 11 of 18 and 9 of 18. The other two, he was 5 of 15 and 8 of 26.
Ooh.
15 games last year, he shot worse than 40%. And again, you don't have JT Toppin there to bail you out in that. I do think NC State is talented, where they'll be top four in the conference of the ACC. But in this segment, I think it's Darion Williams just because he is penciled in as the AC preseason player of the year.
Yeah, there's a lot of good points there. I think McCaslin has been started out sneakily, now just straight up awesome offensively at Texas Tech the past 2 years. They were top 30 in the country his first year, top five last season. And I think, when you consider some of Williams's best traits, I would say he is a elite passer for his position. There are flashes where it's like this dude is a transcendent passer on the wing. However, I think having someone like JT Toppin, an elite play finisher, or even someone like Chance McMillan, who was over 40% from three on the season, knocking down those catch and shoot opportunities, or the you get JT Toppin a look in the paint. He's gonna finish that 95% of the time probably. And just looking at the supporting cast at NC State this year, we've done shows in the past where I've voiced my skepticism with Vin-Allen Lubin, just watching him a whole season at Carolina, very familiar with his shortcomings. And I mean, maybe having someone who's as good of a passer like Williams can help Lubin do what he does best, and that's like be a 6'8" lob threat and offensively minded, albeit undersized big, where he like needs you to sort of tee it up for him. And I saw he developed really good chemistry with Cadeau, and you saw some of like the problem with not having the best hands start to go away some toward the end of the year. Maybe he can do that for Lubin, but just the shooting on this roster, I'm a little scared of outside of Paul McNeil. I think Paul McNeil is going to knock down his threes, but I just fear that if he can't McNeil needs some. I would say McNeil needs to make some strides in other areas of the court to even earn the time to be like the Chance McMillan to Darion Williams, Darion Williams, so to speak. But I will stay with on the topic of the Texas Tech Red Raiders. I hate saying this because I love his game, but I'm afraid Christian Anderson might underperform a little bit. And
Go, yeah, continue that. Yeah, continue your spiel.
he's on the smaller side. I get he's like a nuts pull up shooter. Like I get he's an insane shot maker. Final 11 games of the season, he bumped up his season average from 10 points per game to 13 points per game, but he was sub 40% from the field, sub 35% from three. And again, you want to look at the roster. I just gassed up McCaslin as this awesome offensive coach and where he's hit his stride. The backcourt is way weaker than it was last year. Like there's no one who's going to be taking pressure off of Christian Anderson outside of JT Toppin. And granted, Toppin will be a top 3 player in the sport, but I'm just thinking in the backcourt, like on those off nights for Christian Anderson, who's covering up for him? Who's he playing off of to get his shot? Like maybe Tyree Bryan to me is more of a catch and shoot player. And I believe Donovan Atwell is someone who I mean, McCaslin's really good at evaluating talent, and perhaps he just translates immediately, but there's just a little bit of fear that looking at this roster composition, that there's just not enough around Christian Anderson to kind of save him from like just drawing too much attention and having more physical defenses on him and no one in the backcourt to take the burden off him.
Yeah, I mean, this is now, Riley, our third straight video I think we've done to where my favorite player, to segue to the favorite player, it's my favorite player is the one that you think is most likely to underperform it. Lamar Wilkerson at Indiana, and then it was Tunde Yesufu the last video, and now here is 3 for 3, Christian Anderson as my favorite player because I have a type. I just have a type of player, and what you said is valid. It's very much valid. But you saw the flashes this offseason, 29 and 6 versus Canada and FIBA
Mhm.
U19. His ability to create separation, dude, my God, it's basketball porn. 52% efficient field goal percentage on 97 shots off the dribble. That's excellent on synergy. And he's 56% efficient field goal percentage on his jumpers. He's going to have a lot bigger role, obviously, with Darren Williams transferring to NC State, but I really like him a lot. 38, 80 splits and 4 20-point games last year. I think that continues, and I think he's going to have a big season this upcoming season.
I want to change my answer. I forgot how good he was in the FIBA U19 World Cup. He was insane during that showcase. I want to pick Bennett Sturts. I know he's like a draft Twitter darling. He averaged 19, 5, and 4 last year. Dude, he had 50, 40, 80 splits. As I was doing research, he was my initial pick, but I was like, that efficiency was so dumb. And like he's got his coach coming with him, and he was awesome in the NCAA tournament. I think he put up 21 against both Missouri and Texas Tech. I'm like, well, we've seen him do it against power conference competition. But the contrarian point to that would be like, I don't know, it's just a boring style of play. The whole Ben McCollum like shirt and tie thing gets old, and I just fear that like this Iowa team does not have the size or the athleticism to cut it in the Big Ten. Like they're going to be starting a 6'8" big man. I like Alvaro Fulgaris a lot, but again, it's another up transfer. It's just so many mid-major guys making the leap to where I don't feel great about picking any of these guys to underperform, but I could squint and see a world where this Iowa team just sort of underachieves across the board and it negatively impacts Sturts. So is that a more sufficient answer?
Yeah,
Get back on the same page because I don't want to
yeah,
be anti Christian Anderson. I love Christian Anderson, but
yeah. No, that makes more sense. I'm with you on that, Bennett Sturts, because going from Drake to Iowa, I do like Sturts, but it's just I agree with you. I would go with Sturts more than Christian Anderson.
cool, cool. All right, well then I'll go ahead and give my favorite player. It's Mikel Brown Jr., another dude who was awesome in the FIBA U19 World Cup. He's got everything from the burst, the athleticism, the three-point shooting, knocked down 8 of them things in Louisville's most recent exhibition, quieted those concerns from that 2 of 15 night against Kansas, and he's just like a really good floor general. The kid has legit passing chops too. I just think he's going to be electric in Pat Kelsey's system. I don't think he's actually listed at 6'5", which might hurt the NBA stock a little bit. Don't care. In my mind right now, I have him fourth on my big board behind the big three, and he's got a chance. Well, have a hard time seeing him crack that big three. But yeah, he should be a ton of fun this year.
Oh yeah, Mikael Brown Jr. is going to be awesome. The ACC needs somebody just like him coming off the year that the conference was last season. Though Louisville was at the top of the conference, having star power like Mikael Brown come in. Pat Kelsey's over here shouting PGU because of Mikael Brown and dating back to history with Peyton Siva, obviously. But he's special. I mean, he had 28, 4 and 6, and an 8 of 11 from three against Bucknell, and that's just the tip of the iceberg with him. And I think Mikael Brown Jr. is going to be a dude in the ACC and a dude in the country.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. How about you wrap us up with you need to know blank about this player?
Let's go back to Bennett Sturts. What you need to know about Bennett Sturts is out of his 468 field goal attempts last season, only 47 of those were catch and shoots, which is crazy. That is so low for a guy that had that caught me off guard that he had that low of usage on a catch and shoot. Just shows how much he has the ball in his hands at all times. But my question is for that is though he transferred up and is in the same system, will he see more sets ran for him to come off screens and stuff because you're going from Drake to Iowa to where maybe he can't really create off the dribble to where he has to shoot more than 47 catch and shoots as he did last year.
Hmm. Great point. I'm glad that I feel like I have a little validation for my slight Bennett Sturt skepticism. You're great at the stats, J man. That's why we have you on here. I'm going to keep it a lot more basic. You need to know that Graham Ike is still really good. And I know Gonzaga doesn't have the pros that they used to, that like for that stretch where they had Chet Holmgren and Jalen Suggs and just guys who were they're just pumping out guys who are becoming first round draft picks. However, I wouldn't rule out like a we talk so much about a Dan Hurley revenge season. I wouldn't rule that out for Mark Few either. I really like Mario St. Superi. He was solidly in my top 100. Uh, Steele Venters coming back from injury one time was a sniper at Eastern Washington. Maybe they get the best version of him. Braden Huff and Ike, they're going to tear it up against WCC front courts. And maybe there's enough juice there if St. Superi can live up to the hype and show that he's warranted as being viewed as one of the best young international guards. Coming over to the college game, that they maybe run through the WCC, maybe have some big non-conference wins. But of course, all of that is contingent on Ike staying healthy, staying out of foul trouble, and continuing to churn out 18 and 8 games like it's nothing. So still love Mark Few's style where he's going to throw it into the big man and let him go to work. They're going to be running like Roy Williams style secondary offense as well. That's going to get easy looks for Ike and Huff like as a trailer. So yeah, I'm just saying don't forget about Gonzaga, even though they don't get quite the love that they once did.
Yeah, Graham Ike, I mean, 6'9", 250. My God, what a unit. Fifth year senior. And my favorite thing about him, you hit everything nail on the head. But like when he plays against a physical team, he's a physical guy and
Mhm.
he doesn't back away. It's not that he's playing down to competition. He's not playing like he's going against WCC every night, and that's why he's having these dominant stat lines. He had 27 against Houston. And Houston's the most physical defense in the country. Like this dude is legit 28 and 11 versus Kentucky. My favorite
Mhm.
thing about EK is he's 81% from the line. That's elite for a post for anybody in college basketball. It's really good. That's elite for a post player to shoot 81% from the line. And so I like EK a lot, and I think he's gonna have a big year for Gonzaga.
For sure. Well, J man, as always, thank you for joining me on this one. Thank you for bringing the stats. Thank you for bringing the more comprehensive breakdowns. When sometimes I just say I like this guy, he's fun to watch. As always, it's a joy. So stay tuned. We got 2 more of these coming out before the season starts. You'll find it on the Sleepers Media YouTube channel.